Hey everyone! Welcome to the Expensive Coins History channel. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of Irish coins. From historic treasures to rare finds, we're counting down the top 6 rare and expensive Irish coins and revealing just how much they're worth. Whether you're a collector or just curious, you won't want to miss these hidden gems. Let's get started. 1974 No Mint Mark Ireland 1 penny coin. Many people claim this coin is rare, valuable, or even worth a lot of money, so today we will explore its history, its true level of rarity, the story behind its design and production, and its realistic market value in 2025. To understand the 1974 Ireland 1 penny coin, we first need to look at the period in which it was created. Ireland introduced decimal currency in 1971, replacing the old pounds, shillings, and pence system with a modern decimal-based structure. As part of this transformation, the 1 penny coin, often referred to as the 1p, was introduced and became one of the most common coins in daily life. The 1974 issue belongs to these early decimal years and is considered an interesting part of Ireland's monetary transition. The coin was made of bronze and carried a beautiful design created by sculptor Gabriel Hayes. On the reverse side you will find a stylized bird inspired by ancient Celtic art. On the obverse, the traditional Irish harp appears, symbolizing national heritage. These features make the coin visually attractive and historically meaningful, even if it is not extremely rare. A key point to clarify is the idea of a no mint mark. Many collectors, especially new ones, sometimes assume that a coin without a mint mark must be special. However, for Irish decimal coins, the absence of a mint mark is completely normal. Ireland did not use mint marks on these circulating coins, so the 1974 1 penny coin was never intended to have one. This means that the so-called no mint mark variety is simply the standard version and not a rare error or special strike. When it comes to mintage numbers and rarity, the 1974 coin had a high production run. Millions of these pennies were struck for everyday circulation. Because they were used heavily in daily transactions for several decades, many examples today show clear signs of wear, discoloration, or corrosion. However, the total number originally produced means that the coin is not truly rare in the traditional sense. What can make a difference is condition. A heavily used, worn coin will usually carry only nominal collector value, while coins that have survived in extremely fine or uncirculated condition can be more desirable. These higher-grade examples are scarcer because most 1 penny coins were circulated for years before Ireland switched to the euro in 2002. Collectors often look for coins from the early decimal period in the best possible condition to complete their sets. Because of this, a well-preserved 1974 penny may attract more interest than a typical circulated one. But even so, the value remains modest. Now let's address the part most viewers are waiting for: the coin's market value today and the realistic expectations for 2025. In most cases, a circulated 1974 1 penny coin is worth very little. It commonly sells for a small amount, typically under $1, depending on condition and demand. These coins were produced in large numbers and are still relatively easy to find in collections, old jars, and inherited groups of coins. Coins that are in better condition can sell for a bit more, especially those graded as very fine, extremely fine, or uncirculated. An uncirculated example may attract collectors who specifically seek high-grade decimal Irish coins. While the value increases with better grade, even these pieces do not reach exceptionally high prices. In 2025, the market value for most high-grade examples remains modest, reflecting collector interest rather than true rarity. You may see small premiums for bright, original, uncirculated coins, but not the kind of prices associated with rare errors, low mintage issues, or historically scarce coins. It's important to address a common misconception. Online rumors sometimes suggest the 1974 1 penny coin is worth hundreds or even thousands. These claims are almost always misleading. They may confuse the Irish coin with rare foreign coins, misinterpret mint mark terminology, or exaggerate values for clicks and views. The genuine collector value of this coin is limited and grounded in its condition, not an unusual minting feature. despite its modest monetary value, the 1974 Ireland 1 penny coin is still a charming and historically significant piece. It represents a major shift in Ireland's currency system, carries an iconic design, and reflects everyday life in the 1970s, 80s, and 90s. For many collectors, its value lies more in nostalgia and historical interest than in financial worth. Holding one of these coins is like holding a small piece of Ireland's modern monetary history. So is the 1974 no-mint mark Ireland 1 penny coin worth a lot of money? In most cases, no. But is it a fascinating and meaningful piece of Irish numismatic history? Absolutely. If you have one in excellent condition, it is worth keeping, just don't expect it to fund your retirement. The 1980 Ireland 1 penny coin, sometimes referred to as a no-mint mark 1p. Although it may look like an ordinary bronze coin from the past, it carries an interesting story, a place in Irish monetary history, and a collectible value that many people overlook. So let's explore what makes the 1980 Ireland 1p special, what it's worth today, and how it stands in the collectible market for 2025. The story of this coin begins with Ireland's decimalisation in 1971, when the country replaced the old pre-decimal system with a new decimal currency. This change introduced a fresh range of coins designed for a modernized monetary system, and among them was the 1 penny coin. Made of bronze and carrying a beautifully stylized ornamental bird on its reverse side, the design was created to reflect traditional Celtic art while still fitting into a modern coinage system. On the obverse, the iconic Irish harp remained the national symbol. The 1981 penny follows this same design and was produced during a period when the Irish pound was still the main currency before the eventual transition to the euro in the early 2000s. In 1980, more than 86 million of these 1p coins were minted. Because of this extremely high mintage, the coin entered circulation in massive quantities. It passed through countless hands, pockets, shops, and cash registers over the years. This means that although the coin is historically significant, it is not considered rare in a traditional numismatic sense. The term no mint mark often confuses people, but for these coins, having no mint mark is normal. Ireland didn't use mint marks on its circulating coins during that era, so the absence of one doesn't signal a rare variant. Many people wonder whether older coins like the 1980 Ireland 1p are worth a lot of money. The honest answer is that the majority of these coins are not. Their large mintage and long years of circulation mean that most examples show significant wear, and worn copper coins tend to have low resale value. Claims online sometimes exaggerate the worth of old Irish coins, creating a myth that they are rare treasures. But in reality, their value depends almost entirely on condition, collector demand, and whether the coin has any unique features. Even so, that doesn't mean the coin has no value at all. For collectors, the 1980 Ireland 1 penny is still a meaningful piece of Ireland's monetary history. It is part of a complete set of decimal coins, and many collectors aim to assemble these sets year by year. A 1981p in well-preserved condition, especially one that remains bright, lustrous, and free of scratches, can be worth more than the average example pulled from circulation. Uncirculated or high-grade pieces often command the best prices because they are harder to find. Most circulated coins only fetch a small amount, but pristine examples can sell for a modest premium. As we look at the market in 2025, values remain steady. A typical circulated 1980 Ireland 1p generally sells for only a small amount, often around the low dollar range. A much better preserved example, such as uncirculated or near uncirculated, may be worth slightly more, but still within a modest collector's range. This is because even though the coin is now over 4 decades old, there are still many surviving examples, and supply outweighs demand. Copper-based coins also often show wear, corrosion, or spotting with age, which further limits high-grade survivors. Although the coin's standard value is fairly low, the scenario changes if there is a verified mint error. Genuine errors, such as misstrikes, off-centering, or planchet flaws, can sometimes dramatically increase a coin's desirability. However, confirmed error coins from the 1980 Irish 1p series are not widely documented, so collectors should always be cautious and seek expert verification before assuming they've found a valuable mistake. A true error coin can be worth much more, but ordinary worn coins should not be mistaken for minting errors. For anyone who owns a 1980 Ireland 1p, the most important factor is condition. If the coin still has clear details on the bird design, a sharp harp, minimal surface wear, and a clean, even color, it has a better chance of attracting serious collector interest. Cleaning or polishing the coin, however, is strongly discouraged. Cleaning can strip the natural patina, scratch the surface, and actually reduce its value rather than improving it. Keeping the coin stored safely, ideally in a coin flip or protective holder, helps preserve whatever value it already has. As for its future value, the 1980 Ireland 1p is not expected to skyrocket, but like all historical coins, it will likely gain slow, steady interest as time goes on and as fewer of them remain in good condition. Coins that are ordinary today can become desirable decades later once surviving examples grow scarcer. Even so, it is important to stay realistic. Its high original mintage ensures that it remains a common coin for now, and only exceptional examples will attract strong collector attention. The 1980 No Mint Mark Ireland 1 coin is a small but meaningful piece of Irish history. It represents the early years of decimal currency, features an iconic Celtic-inspired design, and is widely collected by those interested in pre-Euro Irish coinage. While the coin is not generally rare or extremely valuable, it still holds numismatic significance. In 2025, its market value is modest, but well-preserved examples and rare errors can offer an extra level of interest for collectors. Whether you own one for its sentimental value, its historical importance, or as part of a collection, it remains an intriguing reminder of Ireland's currency evolution. 1988 Ireland 1 coin, often discussed for its history, its place in the final years of pre-Euro currency, and the curiosity surrounding pieces described as having no mint mark. If you've ever wondered whether this small bronze coin could be worth a lot of money, stay with me as we explore its origins, rarity, and the real market value it holds in 2025. Our story begins with the Irish decimal coinage system, introduced in the early 1970s. The 1 coin, commonly called the 1p, became one of the foundational denominations of the new decimal system. By 1988, Ireland had already been circulating this series for more than a decade, and the 1p had become a familiar everyday coin in pockets throughout the country. It featured the traditional Irish harp on the front and a beautifully stylized bird on the reverse, a design inspired by ancient Celtic art. Although the design remained consistent over the years, collectors pay special attention to the late 1980s issues because they mark the final era before Ireland began transitioning its currency system. The 1988 1 coin was minted during a time when Ireland was gradually preparing for economic changes that would eventually lead to the introduction of the euro. For that reason, this late-issue penny sits at an interesting historical crossroads. It is a symbol of the country's heritage, yet also part of the final stretch before Ireland moved away from the traditional pound-based system. Millions were produced, and they circulated widely until the early 2000s, when the Irish pound was phased out and replaced entirely by the euro. Many coins were taken out of circulation, melted down, or lost over time, leaving collectors with a mix of common circulated pieces and increasingly fewer coins in pristine condition. A topic that sometimes appears in coin collecting discussions is the idea of a 1988 penny with no mint mark. While Irish coins of this period were centrally produced and do not typically feature a distinguishing mint mark like those found on coins from countries with multiple mints, collectors occasionally refer to coins with worn details or weak strikes as no mint mark pieces. In most cases, this does not indicate a special variety. It is usually the result of circulation wear, natural fading, or simply the minting style of the era. Because of that, there is no widely recognized or officially documented rare variety of the 1988 penny specifically identified as a no-mint mark coin. However, in the world of numismatics, unusual striking errors or unique misprints can always elevate a coin's desirability, and collectors naturally examine each 1988 penny closely for any signs of such features. When we look at rarity, the 1988 penny is not considered rare in general circulation. Millions were issued, and a large number still exist. However, the situation changes when condition is considered. Circulated coins with scratches, discoloration, and where hold only modest value. But coins that were never used or that retain their original shine can be significantly more appealing to collectors. High-grade uncirculated coins from the late 1980s are less common than you might think, because most pennies entered daily use as soon as they left the mint. This brings us to the question at the heart of the video: how much is a 1988 Irish 1 penny worth today, and what could it be worth in 2025? In normal circulated condition, most examples sell for very small amounts, often just $1 or $2. Their value comes mainly from sentimental or historical interest rather than rarity. But a coin in excellent condition, especially one with full original luster, can sell for a higher price. In some cases, collectors may pay several dollars for a mint-state piece that shows no signs of being handled. By 2025, the market has remained stable for these coins. The typical collector value continues to stay within a modest range. A standard circulated coin generally sells for around $1 to $2, while a truly well-preserved, uncirculated example may reach higher prices depending on the buyer's interest and the coin's appeal. Coins advertised as no mint mark pieces do not receive special premiums unless they contain verifiable minting errors, which are rare and must be authenticated. Although the 1988 1 penny is not a coin that will make most people rich, it represents an important piece of Ireland's monetary history. It is a reminder of the country's transition era and a collectible that many people enjoy adding to their Irish decimal coin collections. If you have one, it's worth holding on to, especially if it's in excellent condition. And if you find one that appears unusual or different from standard examples, it may be worth showing to a numismatic expert to check for errors or unique traits. 1996 No Mint Mark Ireland 1 penny coin. Many collectors have asked whether this coin is rare, whether it carries hidden value, and how much it is actually worth in the market today and going into 2025. In this video, we will explore the history of this coin, its design, the truth about its rarity, and the realistic price you can expect if you own one. The Irish 1 penny coin, also known as the 1p or the pin-gin, was part of Ireland's decimal coinage system introduced in the early 1970s. By the time 1996 arrived, the coin's design had long been established and widely recognized. On the obverse side, the national harp appears, the enduring symbol of Ireland's heritage. On the reverse side, the design features a beautifully stylized bird inspired by Celtic art, specifically taken from ancient manuscript artwork. This distinctive design helped make the Irish decimal coin some of the most artistically admired in Europe. The 1996 issue of the 1 penny coin was struck near the end of the series, as Ireland was preparing for the transition to the euro. During this period, the composition of the 1p coin was copper-plated steel, replacing the earlier bronze version used in the 1970s and early 1980s. These copper-plated steel coins were cost-effective to manufacture, and large quantities were produced. In fact, production numbers for the 1996 penny were extremely high, reaching close to 200 million pieces. Now let's address the phrase most collectors come across: the idea of a no mint mark coin. In many countries, coins carry small symbols that indicate which minting facility produced them. However, in Ireland's case, the National Mint did not use mint marks on circulating coins, meaning that every regular 1 penny coin, including those struck in 1996, naturally carries no mint mark. Because of this, the term no mint mark does not indicate an error, a rarity, or a special variety. It simply describes the normal appearance of the coin. When it comes to rarity, the 1996 Irish 1 penny is considered a common issue. With such a large mintage, millions of examples were released into circulation. The majority were used day to day until the euro was introduced several years later. As a result, most surviving pieces show some degree of wear. Although they are interesting pieces of Irish history, they are not hard to find among collectors, dealers, or coin lots from the pre-euro era. But just because a coin is common does not mean it has no value. The key factor that influences price is condition. A heavily circulated 1996 penny will typically sell for only a small amount, usually just a few cents or perhaps up to $1 depending on the buyer. These lower prices reflect how easy the coin is to obtain. On the other hand, coins that were carefully saved, stored away, or kept in bright mint state condition can command slightly higher prices. Uncirculated pieces, especially those that retain full copper shine and show no spotting or corrosion, tend to attract collectors looking to complete a full decimal set. In today's market, as we enter 2025, the value of a 1996 Ireland 1 penny coin remains modest. A typical circulated example usually sells for under $1, while an uncirculated or high-grade piece may reach a couple of dollars depending on overall eye appeal. Prices can vary slightly from seller to seller, but most transactions fall within this range. Some sellers may list the coin at a higher price in hopes of attracting buyers unfamiliar with the mintage numbers, but the true market value remains relatively stable and inexpensive. Even though the coin is not rare or highly valuable in monetary terms, it still holds genuine historical interest. It represents the final years of Ireland's pre-Euro coinage and carries the artistic heritage of Celtic design. For collectors building a complete set of Irish decimal coins, the 1996 penny is an essential entry. It is also a great starter coin for beginners, offering an affordable way to learn about grading, coin care, and numismatic history. If you happen to find a 1996 Ireland 1 penny in your drawer or among a batch of old coins, the best thing to do is examine its condition. Look for original luster, sharp details, and the absence of rust or discoloration, which can affect the appearance of copper-plated steel coins. If your coin is bright, clean, and close to mint state, it will appeal more to collectors. If it is worn or has lost its shine, it still carries a small nostalgic value, but not a high financial one. The 1996 No Mint Mark Ireland 1 penny coin is a fascinating piece of Ireland's numismatic history. While common and not worth a large amount of money, it remains an important collectible for those who appreciate Irish culture and the final years of the pre-Euro era. As of 2025, its market price remains modest, generally ranging from a few cents to a couple of dollars depending on condition. Whether you are a new collector or a seasoned numismatist, this coin serves as a charming reminder of Ireland's rich artistic and monetary legacy. 1995 Ireland 2p coin, often talked about as the No Mint Mark 2p of the mid-1990s. While this coin may seem ordinary at first glance, it carries a story rooted in Irish monetary history, national symbolism, and the transition from the Irish pound to the euro. And by the end of this video, you'll know whether this coin in your pocket, drawer, or collection might be worth more than its humble appearance suggests. To begin, the Irish 2p coin belongs to the era of decimal coinage that started in the early 1970s, when Ireland redesigned its currency into a new decimal format. The 2p was one of the essential small-value denominations that millions of people used every single day throughout the late 20th century. The design was simple but elegant. On the front of the coin sat the traditional Irish harp, an emblem deeply tied to Ireland's history and cultural identity. On the reverse was a beautifully stylized Celtic bird inspired by ancient manuscript art and sculpted by the artist Gabriel Hayes, who played a major role in shaping the look of modern Irish coins. By 1995, the 2p coin was already a familiar object in Irish pockets. That year, the Mint produced tens of millions of these coins as part of the continuing circulation of the Irish pound. Irish coins of this period did not use mint marks to distinguish where they were produced, so the 1995 coin, like most Irish coins of the time, is naturally a no mint mark issue. This feature has sometimes led new collectors to believe they may have stumbled across something unusual or rare, simply because other countries use mint marks and Ireland did not. In reality, the absence of a mint mark is perfectly normal for this coin. Even though a large number of 1,995 2p coins were minted, their survival in high-grade condition is another matter. Most were heavily circulated, passed through countless hands, spent on small daily purchases, and stored loosely in pockets, purses, or jars. That means many surviving examples today show wear, scratches, or fading detail. Collectors, however, look for coins with crisp detail, clean surfaces, and a sharp, attractive appearance. These uncirculated, well-preserved examples can be noticeably more desirable, even if the regular coin itself is common. When Ireland transitioned to the euro beginning in 1999, and completed the process in early 2002, the old Irish pound coins, including the 2p, were withdrawn from everyday use. Although they were no longer legal tender, they did not vanish instantly. Many ended up in jars, cupboards, or keepsake boxes. Others sat in bank vaults or coin collections, quietly increasing in curiosity value as memories of the pre-euro era faded. As a result, the once ordinary 2p has become a small historical artifact linked to Ireland's economic evolution. Now the big question, is the 1995 2p coin worth a lot of money today? The honest answer is that most examples are not highly valuable in the monetary sense. Circulated coins typically sell for small amounts when purchased individually. The values are modest because the coin is not scarce in production numbers and was made of inexpensive copper-plated steel rather than a precious metal. However, condition changes everything. A coin that has been kept in exceptional condition since the day it was minted, bright, untouched, and without any marks, can be worth significantly more to collectors who seek high-grade pieces to complete year-by-year sets. In 2025, the general market value of a 1995 Ireland 2p coin remains small for circulated pieces, usually ranging from a few cents up to a couple of dollars depending on appeal and buyer demand. Collectible or uncirculated examples may rise into the mid-dollar range, and occasionally a little higher if the coin is exceptionally well preserved with strong detail and luster. Specialty collectors of Irish decimal coin sometimes pay above typical market levels, especially when assembling complete date runs or looking for coins in top condition. But it is important to keep expectations realistic. This coin is rarely a high-value rarity, and most examples will not command large sums. Still, this coin's true value may lie beyond its market price. For many, it represents a nostalgic era of Irish life before the euro. Its design reflects Ireland's deep artistic heritage, and its production marks a chapter in the country's economic development. Holding one today is like holding a small piece of Irish history, a memory of daily life before the currency changed forever. If you have a 1995 2p coin, the best approach is to examine its condition closely. If it shows only minimal wear, strong original shine, and no major blemishes, it may appeal to collectors who value higher-grade Irish coins. If it is well worn, it still has historical and sentimental worth, but its resale value will remain modest. Either way, it's a fascinating piece of Ireland's monetary story. The 1994 no-mint Mark Ireland 5p coin. Although small in size, this coin carries a surprising amount of history, collector interest, and curiosity. Many people wonder whether this particular year is rare, whether the absence of a mint mark makes it valuable, and what it might be worth in the current market of 2025. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear understanding of its background, scarcity, and its true value today. To start, the 5p coin was part of the Irish decimal coinage system used before the introduction of the euro in 2002. The coin we are discussing belongs to the smaller design type that was issued in the 1990s, featuring the iconic Irish harp on the front and the powerful bull on the reverse. These designs reflect Ireland's artistic and cultural heritage, and even today they remain some of the most recognizable symbols from the old Irish pound era. The small-type 5p coin was introduced in 1992, replacing the larger earlier version that had been circulating since 1971. This shift to a smaller size made the coin easier to handle, reduced production cost, and aligned it with modern coinage standards of the time. Now, the 1994 issue is particularly interesting for collectors. While millions were produced, the 1994 year is considered one of the more desirable dates in the small-type 5p series. Some collectors describe it as a scarce year, not because it is extremely rare, but because fewer high-quality examples remain in perfect condition today. These coins circulated heavily in the 1990s, and many were worn, damaged, or eventually removed from use when Ireland transitioned to the euro. One of the most common questions collectors ask is about the lack of a mint mark. The phrase, 1994 no mint mark, may sound like a special variety, but in reality, Irish coins of this era did not use visible mint marks the way some other countries do. The absence of a mint mark is standard for this coin. This means that a 1994 5p without a mint mark is not a unique error and not a special variant. It is simply the normal issue minted in Ireland, which helps explain why the coin does not command extremely high prices despite its collector interest. What does help determine value, however, is condition. Like most circulated coins, the majority of 1994 5p pieces show signs of everyday use. Scratches, dull surfaces, and worn edges are typical. But collectors are always on the lookout for bright, sharp, uncirculated examples. These coins, which may have been saved shortly after production and never entered circulation, represent the top end of collector demand. The sharper the details on the harp and the bull, the cleaner the fields, and the fewer marks on the surface, the more appealing the coin becomes. Another factor that influences value is the presence of genuine minting errors. Very occasionally, coins from this series are found with striking mistakes, misaligned dies, or wrong metal planchets. These kinds of mistakes are not specific to 1994 and they are not commonly found, but when they do appear, they can be worth many times more than a normal coin. Most people, however, will own the standard, regular struck 1994 issue. Now let's talk about current market value. As of 2025, the value of a typical circulated 1994 5p coin is modest. Many examples sell for the price of an inexpensive collector coin, generally ranging from around 50 cents to just over $1 in most markets. Coins in better condition, such as extremely fine or lightly uncirculated examples, can bring in slightly more, though they still remain within the affordable range for most collectors. Truly pristine mint state examples can sometimes achieve a higher price, but even then, they do not reach the high values associated with rare gold, silver, or low mintage coins. This brings us to a common misunderstanding. Some people believe that because a coin is older or listed as scarce within its series, it must be worth a lot of money. But scarcity within a large circulating coin series does not necessarily translate to high value. While the 1994 5p is a desirable date to collectors of Irish coinage, it is still widely available, especially in worn condition. Its metal content is copper-nickel, so it has no intrinsic silver or gold value. Its collectible interest comes primarily from nostalgia and completion of a decimal coin collection. In practical terms, a typical 1994 5p coin is not a coin that will make you rich, but it is a meaningful and attractive piece of Irish numismatic history. Its value lies more in its significance than in its market price. It represents a period of major change in Ireland's currency system, and it carries the familiar designs that so many people today remember from their childhood or daily life before the euro. If you happen to own one of these coins and want to assess it more accurately, examine it under good light and check the details closely. Look for strong definition in the harp strings, a clean edge around the bull, and minimal scratches on the surface. If the coin appears uncirculated or nearly so, it may be worth sending it to a coin dealer or grader for a closer inspection. If it is a standard circulated piece, it still has collectible value but should not be expected to sell for a large amount of money, and that brings us to the final takeaway. In 2025, the 1994 no mint mark Ireland 5p coin remains an intriguing collectible, loved by those who appreciate Ireland's pre-Euro history. While it is not rare enough to command extremely high prices, it holds steady as a historically significant and visually iconic piece in the world of decimal Irish coin collecting. Whether you are a seasoned collector or simply found this coin in an old drawer, it is a wonderful reminder of Ireland's currency heritage and a small treasure of nostalgia. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed deep dives into interesting coins and hidden stories from the world of numismatics, be sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more informative videos.